going to tell this to you once, and you're going to remember it. Be ready for a learning curve.
Like, what's the code for a guy that climbs up a power pole 200 feet? Because if that guy falls off that power pole, it doesn't end typically well.
Exactly.
So do you ever let your insureds like kind of like squirm around that? Or
No way.
No way. State Fund's Queen of Northern Idaho is here today. Kalysta Lester, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being here. So we started working together when you were our underwriter
Yep.
with the State Fund, and now you've moved on to being a territory rep in Northern Idaho. Let's go back to the beginning. How did you start in the insurance industry? What was your first job?
SIF was actually my first job in insurance. I kind of, like most people in the industry, stumbled into it, and I loved the people I worked with. I loved the atmosphere, and as I got to know the industry, I really did enjoy just the different topics, situations that you'd come across, and really found a niche in the insurance world.
Okay, so you started with the State Fund. You're still with the State Fund. What was your first role? Like, what was your first title when you started with SIF?
So I started with SIF as a temp.
Okay.
I put my resume into just a staffing agency, and they sent it to SIF, which then they reached out to me, and I took the job as a data entry analysis. So data entry, so the applications that would come in, we take that information, we type them into the computer. We would do customer changes. So if your agency changed their phone number, or if a customer's changed their address, we would verify that address and update the customer's information.
So is that like a constant stream of activity where people are constantly changing all those details?
Yeah, I mean, maybe not the same person, but there are always changes to be made. People are moving, all sorts of different things. But the application piece was probably the most important. Before, of course, we started SIF Quote, where you could go online and submit an application. A lot of those applications were paper.
Okay.
And came through our team.
So you started with that role. I know you were an underwriter, and I know you're now a territory rep. Were there any other roles in between those spots?
No, I went from data entry straight into underwriting. I was an underwriting assistant, so I learned the role. Huge shout out to Janelle Mann. Yeah. She was a great mentor, great teacher. That girl knew her facts, and that was the best. And she really had a kind of a tough love with training me, and it was, I'm gonna tell this to you once, and you're gonna remember it. And if I have to tell you again, then there was an issue. And so I really appreciated that tough, hard training, because that's really how I grasped the material, start to understand the role of underwriting and work comp.
Wow. So, okay, I still can't get over the fact that you joined SIF as a temp.
Yeah.
Because we insure some temp agencies, and you're not the average temp agency person getting put in that role. And I've known Janelle and met her and then worked with her throughout the years. It's pretty cool that you guys know each other. Who else would you say has benefited you and helped you develop as a professional?
So as you know, I started in underwriting, but I quickly decided that wasn't something I wanted to continue to do. And I think word got around because the North Idaho BDE position was open, and I had someone kind of nudge me and say, hey, you should apply for this. Historically, SIF has never hired a BDE outside of their territory, so a marketing rep, business development executive, fancy word for marketing rep, outside of their territory. So I was the first one to apply for the position and get hired living outside of my territory. So obviously 200 plus miles away, a lot of strategic planning there. But I would have to say, as far as a mentor, Lindsay Lochner, she saw something in me that I didn't quite see in myself, and really gave me all the tools and the resources and the coaching to be where I'm at today in this role. And she's just a motivator and an inspiration. And really, I owe her a lot for showing me my passion in this role, connecting with people, being at service for our stakeholders. She was a huge part in moving from underwriting into my current role today.
Oh, cool. I mean, Lindsay's had a lot of different titles at SIF.
Yes.
And she's been a leader, so she oversees all the BDEs, business development
executive.
Yeah. And then I know she does some other stuff. It's been really cool to see her ascension as SIF.
Yeah, she's grown substantially in a short amount of time, and it's just because you can see her talent. You can see how she can work a room and lead a group of people. And I feel very, very grateful to have had that in my life. So I can only imagine what she's doing now. She is also the PHS, the underwriting manager. So she manages underwriting and BDE.
Wow.
Which is,
Wow.
She's got her hands full.
So, okay, most people watching will be Idahoans, but there's people from outside the state as well. Yeah. So let me try to explain this as best I know, and then you correct me.
Okay.
Idaho is broken up, the state fund has broken up Idaho into agents can write policies, so we're not a monopolistic state. Mm-hmm. But by the Constitution, state Constitution, certain entities like the cities and the counties and whatnot will go directly to the state fund, and then a business development executive like yourself will represent them. Am I saying that back to you correctly?
That is correct. So there are 5 of us as far as BDEs goes. We have our East Idaho, our South Central, the Treasure Valley, North Idaho, and then our out-of-state BDEs. And so we all take those pieces and we manage our direct book. So our publics, our cities, our state entities, and then also any direct insured that may not have an agent, may not want to work with an agent, who needs work comp, they can apply directly through us, and all of the BDEs service those accounts as well, as if we were the agent.
Okay. Well, I mean, I am partial to agents being on accounts, but I know that they have a good experience with you guys as well.
Sure you are, yeah.
So you're in northern Idaho. I didn't realize how Spokane essentially functions as Coeur d'Alene's airport.
Right, it is,
right?
Yep.
So have you ever flown into Spokane and not had a rental car available?
Actually, I feel very fortunate. I don't know if it's the early check-in they do, but every time I go to the counter, they hand me my keys and I hit the road, which I plan my trips with that like tiny window of rental, thinking like, oh, I'll get in my car right away. So I should be more careful about that and give myself some more time.
So I had no problems in Spokane. They always had a million rental cars. But I went up there probably 2 months ago.
Oh, shoot,
recently. So they've moved all the rental cars to California because they weren't using them. And so all these people were without rental cars. So we had to take an Uber into downtown Spokane to get a rental car. Now, I won't tell the whole story. However, I feel like you can put yourself in my shoes going to Spokane. I dropped the car off in the evening, and what do I see but like this whole political protest going on?
Oh, no.
So I'm like, what's going on? So I walked over just like trying to check out what was happening, and I was getting booed by a crowd. I've never had this happen. I was like, what is going on? So I asked the lady, and they were protesting some things, and there was a fundraiser going on, and they were booing the people going to the fundraiser.
Oh.
And so when they found out I wasn't going to the fundraiser after they'd been booing and heckling me, some gal with a bullhorn was like, you Nazi, or something, right?
Oh, boy.
It was horrible.
I'm sorry.
So when they found out I wasn't there, this cracked me up. The gal with the bullhorn said, I'm sorry.
Good.
I had said, I'm an insurance agent from Idaho. Can you tell me why I'm being booed by all these people? So that's my Spokane rental car story. And I would never have been there had the airport not had a few cars. But Spokane is that gateway to northern Idaho. Mm-hmm. It's a beautiful part of the state that we don't get to enough. Do you have a favorite spot up there you like to visit?
Oh, man. Every time I go up there, I feel like I find another piece of North Idaho that I just absolutely love. But I would have to say, and I'm sorry for all of the people who are watching this in different territories, I love Sandpoint and Priest River. The drive from Sandpoint to Priest River is just absolutely gorgeous. You're driving down by the lake, or not the lake, the river, and just, I mean, the scenes are just amazing. The hotel I stay at in Sandpoint is also right on the lake.
Very
there.
cool.
So it's just you're in a different world, and it's still Idaho, but it's just so gorgeous up there. But I would say a lot of those areas, they all are just so equally beautiful and have so much to offer. We're very fortunate.
When you talk about like Spokane and being, not Spokane, Sandpoint, is that where there's like a road through the middle of the lake? Mm-hmm. That is the coolest.
Yeah,
that is the
and
coolest.
The train also goes across the lake.
No
there too.
kidding.
Yeah.
Okay, that's awesome. So like do you ever go back up there with family? Like, hey, let's check this out. This is where mom works. Or do you guys stay local when you're hanging out? Or what do you do with your free time?
With my free time, when I'm not working for SIF, I'm helping my husband. He runs a business. He runs a gas station, so there's a lot of time there. Being a state employee, having my Monday holidays, Memorial, Labor Day, I'm typically up at the gas station working the register. I have a 2-year-old. I pack my 2-year-old up with me, my daughter, and we're there to support. We're frontline employees. That means cleaning bathrooms, stocking cups, bagging ice, anything to help our employees, especially through summer. Those are our busiest times of the year. So if I'm not working at SIF, I am helping in that realm. My husband is a huge car guy, so a lot of weekends and evenings are spent fixing cars, working on cars. I'd probably say I've driven 6 or 7 cars while being married to him, just flipping them to the next one, fixing that one up, flipping them to the next one. So definitely I've learned a lot about cars.
Wow.
Yeah.
So when God is filling up the bucket of gifting in your life or your husband's life, he took all of the car knowledge out of my bucket and he put it in your husband's bucket. I don't change my oil. I don't pump up the tires, none of it. I told my wife, you married a guy that can't fix anything, can't work on cars, can't do any of that stuff. I will say your gas station, I love that you guys are connected there because you brought us beef jerky.
Yep.
And that was the coolest gift we've ever gotten. We get all kinds of pens and notepads or whatever, but the jerky was pretty cool.
Well, now you know why I'm in that BDE role, because that jerky, it touched you enough to where you remembered me.
That's right. So you have to take that to Northern Idaho with you.
I have, lots.
So when you're flying up to Northern Idaho or you're in the car, do you have like a favorite, like a book or a podcast or a music? I mean, what do you like to listen to?
A lot of music. But then there's a lot of dead spots where there's no service. Okay. And so if you don't have your music downloaded, you're kind of SOL. So I also download a lot of podcasts. I like Joe Rogan. Okay. I also like to listen to a few doctors who talk about mental and spiritual healing, just the circadian rhythm and being part of the universe that we live in, outside of our dry-walled boxes.
Right. Maybe I'm a drywall box creature and I need to listen to Joe Rogan or somebody else. Do you have any... Are you into audiobooks, or would you say mostly like podcasts has been your focus? Mostly
podcasts. To be honest, I also like a lot of silence.
Oh, okay. So wait, hold on. You're a BDE. Are you an introvert?
No, I wouldn't say I'm an introvert. Okay. I would say I really like to just kind of foster my own energy. Okay. And there's a lot of distractions. There's a lot of noise in the world. So sometimes just taking a moment to breathe and reset in silence is kind of all we really need as far as getting our bodies out of, fight or flight.
That's true. So I heard years ago that if a person has like an addiction, they didn't specify what, but one of the best things you could do was go up to the mountains and not have a phone or anything else for like at least 3 days, hopefully more. But I want to say it was called like the 72-hour effect or something. It was like a mini book or something. So it sounds like it might be connected to what you're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately we're animals. We were raised in this world before all of the technology, before all the homes and the luxuries of life. And historically, our bodies and our minds would start when the sun rose, and then it would go to sleep when it set. So that was our clock. Whereas now we have so much just exposure to light and worlds outside of nature that reconnecting with nature is pretty crucial for humans.
So you're saying natural light is better than sitting in a podcast room with 4 guys right here who are making sure all the lights fit?
No, I think time of day is the important part of that. Yeah.
No, that's true. I just like to give these guys a hard time right here.
They're doing great.
What advice would you give to somebody who was considering a career in insurance? Because you kind of fell into it a little bit. Like, what positives do you see, and how would you guide them?
It's a lot of work. There's a lot of information in insurance. So someone who is interested in a career in insurance needs to be ready for understanding the different packages. Like I specialize in work comp, but obviously you have several other lines that you work on. That's a lot of information. There's a lot of just different, I mean, you have to know class codes in work comp. So be ready for, a learning curve, being exposed to new information and having to retain that information. But also be ready for a career that could potentially serve you a lot. Working in insurance, you're going to work with a diverse amount of people, business owners, personal lines as well. But there are so many ways to connect in insurance, and that's something that I truly value. And that's something I would tell people, if connection and being engaged and getting to know people's lives outside of your own is something you're interested in, you'll crush it.
Right. Well, and like speaking of those class codes and work comp, you literally see every type of business in the state of Idaho. Like there are codes, like what's the code for a guy that climbs up a power pole 200 feet? Well, because if that guy falls off that power pole, it doesn't end typically well.
Exactly.
Right? But what if he falls from 80 feet and he's in the hospital? Like, so you have to know all these dynamics.
And that code is going to have a higher rate than, say, your front desk person.
Right.
Because the exposure there is much greater.
Right. Well, I love work comp, but like the first code that everyone should learn is that 8810.
Yeah.
That's like your go-to clerical, everyone falls underneath it. So we tell our insureds, we're like, we're not saying your employees are clerical per se, but that's the code they fall under. So we have to explain, especially like on the general liability side, like Hartwell is an insurance agency, but if you look at our insurance policy, it'll say real estate and other services. Well, that's because it's generally grouped there.
Yeah. A lot of grouping in codes.
A lot of codes, a lot of grouping.
But 8810 is an all or nothing code. So if there's even a slight exposure outside of that desk in that office, they would fall under the nature of the business.
So do you ever let your insureds like kind of like squirm around that, or are you like, no way?
No way.
No way.
I've seen way too many claims where a clerical person was doing something out of the scope of clerical work and they got severely hurt. So it's very important to report your payroll under those class codes.
Right. Yeah, we spend a lot of time pushing our insureds like, hey, here's the deal. These are the rules. Don't try to squirm around them. Don't pay people under the table. All that stuff is bad. But typically what I find is if someone's having a good conversation with you about it, that means they actually do care. Because if someone doesn't want to do it the right way, they're never going to ask you to begin with.
Absolutely, yeah,
right?
Yeah.
What would you say you're passionate about in life? Like what makes you, what fulfills you?
So this might, sound a little cheesy, but I want to leave this world knowing that I might have made just the smallest impact. And so what serves me is serving others. And that may not necessarily be, donating my money to charity or going out and raking leaves for the community. It's individually serving people individually. I like connecting one-on-one with people. And I want to know that, especially in my line of work, I did everything I could in my power to support them for their work comp needs. And I use that the same in my personal life. My relationships with my friends are very important to me. My relationship with my husband, I would consider him to be one of my greatest mentors if we really wanted to get into it. They say that if your husband claps loud enough for you, nobody else's applause matters.
Oh, that's cool. I've never heard that.
And so that's my case there, is that I have found a husband who serves me, who supports me, wants the absolute best for me and my personal and career choices. And he's done nothing but see things in me like that I have never really seen in myself. And so I would say I wouldn't be where I am today if it wasn't for his love and his support. And so fostering those relationships, making sure that those are all constantly being fed and watered, that's what serves me.
That's very well said. So there's a guy named Charles Spurgeon, and think back 200 years ago. There weren't as many books, there wasn't an internet. But one of the things he said was something like, this is not an exact quote, but I think it's to what you're saying about having an impact. He said, don't write your story on a headstone. Like, don't plan on your family honoring you with in a graveyard. don't write your story on a headstone, write it on the hearts of men. So
I love that.
well, I think you knocked that last one out of the park. I think that was really well said.
Thank
so,
you.
Kalysta, thank you for being here. It's been really good to talk to you.
It's been great to be here, Brian. I really appreciate the opportunity. Yeah.
Hey, good job.
Thank you.
You did really well.